Hi guys, welcome to the Simplilearn live session on Scrum versus Agile. Now before we get started, let's wait for a little bit as people join in. Thank you to everyone joining us from Facebook and YouTube. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to this live session on Scrum versus Agile. Now before we begin, I'd like to remind all of you that we have a dedicated team here to answer all your questions. So if you have any, ask away in the live chat or in the comment section below. So now, let's get into it. Let's talk about what Agile is. Agile is a very popular principle that is used in software or project management. The approach involves creating products in an incremental manner from the start of the project rather than delivering all of it at once at the end of the project. Agile processes focus on frequent inspection and adoption, on encouraging teamwork, self-organization, accountability, and delivering high-quality software. The business approach is to align development with the needs of the customer and that of the organization. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the Agile process delivers work in small, usable increments. For organizations to take advantage of Agile principles, they need to adhere to the values that are mentioned in the Agile Manifesto. Agile puts individuals and interactions over process and tools. Working products are more important than comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration is much more important than contract negotiation, and responding to changes holds more significance over following a plan. With Agile, the clients and the project team can have large amounts of interaction. This helps them understand each other better. Clients have greater transparency to every phase of the project. The output is delivered in a predictable manner and sometimes can happen sooner than expected. It provides high-quality development, testing, and collaboration due to the project being broken down into smaller units. And thanks to continuous evaluation of requirements, plans, and results, teams can respond to change really fast. Now, let's talk about some Agile methodologies. Let's have a look at each of them. First off, XP. Extreme Programming, or XP, is a framework with which teams can create high-quality software. It can also greatly help improve their quality of life. It also involves the appropriate engineering practices to enable software development. Now, it is applicable for teams handling changing requirements while working with smaller teams, handling risks due to new technologies, and much more. Next up, we have Kanban. Kanban is a visual system that can help organizations visualize their workflow, to design, manage, and to improve the flow of the systems. Now, it's applicable in scenarios where the work is unpredictable. It is also used for deploying work quickly without having to wait for the other components. Next up, we have Lean. Lean provides a set of tools and services that focuses on identifying and removing waste so that the speed of the process development can be improved. With Lean, waste is minimized and value to the customer is maximized. The principles of Lean can be applied to any sector which is liable to produce waste. Then we have Scrum. So we'll be taking a look at Scrum in a little bit, but basically, Scrum is a framework that involves teams establishing a hypothesis, then trying it out, reflecting on their experience, and making corresponding adjustments. And finally, we have Crystal. Crystal is a software development approach that puts people and interactions over tools and processes. With Crystal, processes are streamlined and optimization is improved. Crystal is applicable in scenarios where the focus is on the team communication being strengthened. For more on Agile, you can check out our video, What is Agile? I'll link it in the live chat. Now, let's have a look at what Scrum is. Scrum is a framework through which teams can work together with the help of sprints. Sprints are events that are time-boxed and are usually of 2 to 4 weeks length. Scrum enables teams to learn from their experiences, self-organize and work on their problems, reflect on their successes and losses for improvement. The team's progress is measured with the help of a 15-minute long daily meeting called Daily Scrum. During this meeting, team members talk about what they plan to do on that day, what they did the previous day, and what roadblocks they were facing. With Scrum, teams can deliver their projects in an efficient manner. Time and money are used effectively. Thanks to Scrum meetings, visibility is improved, and improvements can be made thanks to constant feedback from clients and customers, and so much more. Now, let's have a look at how Scrum works. So here's the entire process. Let's have a look at each component. Firstly, we have product backlog. First, a list of all the tasks that need to be completed is created. Now, this list is called the product backlog. Now, completion of all these tasks represent the successful completion of the project. Next, we have sprint planning. Here, the team decides the different tasks that they are going to work on and focus on delivering them during the upcoming sprint. Then, we have sprint backlog. Now, the tasks that were discussed in the product backlog are then added to the sprint backlog, which is basically just another smaller list which consists of selected items from the product backlog. Next up, we have the Scrum team. The Scrum team is a collection of 5 to 9 people who are working on the tasks mentioned in the sprint backlog. Then, we have the Daily Scrum. Now, this is a 15-minute long session during which team members can synchronize their activities and determine what they did the previous day, what they plan to do on that day, and what roadblocks they were facing. Next up, sprint review. Now, after a sprint is complete, a meeting involving the Scrum team, Scrum Master, Product Owner, and stakeholders take place. During this meeting, the team shows off what they accomplished during the sprint. Questions are asked, observations are made, feedback and suggestions are also provided. Now, back to the product backlog. Now, the product backlog is presented to the stakeholders so that the product owner can get some feedback for upcoming sprints. Then, there's also the sprint retrospective. Now, during this meeting, previous mistakes are identified and new ways to handle them are determined. The data that's obtained from this meeting is also used while planning the new sprint. And finally, we have increment. Now, in this stage, a workable output is provided to the stakeholders. And after this, another sprint starts and the whole process is repeated again. Now, let's talk about Scrum versus Agile. Firstly, let's have a look at methodologies. Now, Agile is a set of principles that are iterative and incremental. Agile has a number of different methodologies you can choose from. There's XP, Crystal, Kanban, even Scrum for that matter. Let's talk about Scrum now. Scrum is an implementation of the concepts of Agile. So basically, most of the important components of Agile can be applied to Scrum as well. It provides the customer with incremental builds that are delivered to the customer in the span of 2 to 4 weeks. An organization can be Agile, but not practice Scrum. However, an organization cannot practice Scrum without being Agile. Next up, let's have a look at projects. Agile is more suited towards projects that have a small development team that consists of experts. Whereas on the side of Scrum, it's usually better suited for projects that are subject to a large amount of change, and that too rapidly. Next, we have leadership. Now for Agile, a project head takes care of all the tasks and has a very important role to play in the process of Agile. A project head represents the entire team and is responsible for getting issues resolved by assigning them to the appropriate members of the team. In Scrum, there's no leader. There's a Scrum Master who can overall guide the Scrum process, but the team addresses issues by themselves. It usually involves cross-functional and self-organizing teams. Next up, we have flexibility. Agile is relatively more rigid than Scrum and cannot handle changes with ease. It also requires a lot of upfront development process and changes within the organization. With Scrum, you can enable teams to quickly react to changes. Not too many changes need to be implemented when it comes to the Scrum process. Next up, let's talk about delivery. Agile requires frequent deliveries so that they can get feedback from the end user. This in turn will help make the product better. The product is delivered as well as updated on a regular basis. With Scrum, after a sprint, feedback from the client for a build is provided to the team. Scrum involves daily Scrum meetings to review and get feedback to determine the next steps of the project. The next sprint is only planned by the team after the current sprint is complete. Next, we have collaboration. With Agile, collaboration involves face-to-face interactions with team members of other cross-functional teams. For Scrum, daily stand-up meetings take place with specific roles like Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the Scrum team. And finally, we have design. With Agile, the design as well as its execution, it's relatively simple. With Scrum, the design and its execution can be innovative and experimental. So you might be wondering, which one should you choose? Now, among both these options, there's one thing that will remain common: Agile. Now, what you can decide upon is which Agile methodology you will be choosing. Is it Lean, is it Kanban, or is it Scrum? Now, if you do want to know more about how Scrum and Kanban are different from one another, you can check out our video, Scrum versus Kanban. I'll add it to the live chat. And there you go, we've laid out the facts for you. Keep in mind your requirements and make a wise choice. Let us know what you picked and why in the live chat or in the comment section below. We hope you guys found this video informative and helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, sanitize, and stay safe. Thank you for